Hi there, and welcome to Lunar Lunch Break. I am Evylyn Rose, and this would be my cat Whisper, who is somehow always knows precisely when I'm about to go on a camera. It's like she can feel it, whether it's a meeting or it is these live stream sessions. She somehow miraculously knows to come here. I even built myself like a little fort of different bottles to try to keep her from accidentally muting me like she likes to do. So we are going to try to deal with this as best we can. Let me get that out of the way. See if that helps. All right. So if there's any weird tech issues, we blame the cat. It's Whisper's fault. All right. And yes, her name is Whisper, like a purring cat. So that's always fun. Um, It was not the name we came up with. It was a name she already had when we adopted her. Um, and we had the option to change her name, as you always do whenever you adopt adopt an animal. But I like to stick with it, especially if it's they've been there for a while. So in her case, she had been raised as a kitten by a foster, and of course now my screen is doing crazy weird things. Cat, it is your fault. All right, we love you, but you mess up all of my tech. Let's try that and see. Nope, that did not do the trick. Don't mess up. Every time. Every time. Don't want it to be over there. I want this part to be over here. Oh, please pardon my technical difficulties. We're going to try one more time to make this do what I want it to do. It should theoretically work this time. Cat touch nothing. All right. Since you're going to be here anyway, I may as well move the water bottle out of the way. Oh my. Okay, let's lift this up. Oh, let me make sure I've got the chat up and running. So as always, if you haven't been here before, these are my office hours, so they're perfect time for any like Q&A, AMA type thing. It's an opportunity to get your questions answered live on the air. If you are unable to attend live, you can always send me a message, either by email, through, DM, whatever. Or for those of you local to the area, when you see me out and about, by all means, you're welcome to ask me some questions and ask me to answer them live if you'd like me to. Let me make sure. I'm gonna pop this message in the chat so I don't forget. Um, so as always, just drop your questions in the chat. If I'm in the middle of answering another question, I will circle back around to it. Those who don't know me very well, I'm extremely squirrel brained. So there's always a possibility that I will be actively in the middle of answering a question and then get distracted by something in the chat and either respond to that. And I may or may not remember to get back around to the question. Usually I do circle back around to the question I was originally answering. But it has been known to happen when the squirrel brain is extra squirrely. I know it was really squirrely for a couple weeks, so hopefully I'm on the downside of that. A little less squirrel brain, a little bit more arthritis. Yay, getting older. Although technically I started super early on that. So I am wearing all of the fun. Oh my goodness, these gloves are filled with your fur. No wonder you come over here when I'm wearing these gloves. Um, if I could get a what are these called again? Sorry, see the cat distracts me so much. All right, are we good? Are we settled? Can we just stay right there and go nowhere? I will pet your ear. All right. So let's try this again. Hi, welcome to Lunar Lunch Break. I am Evylyn Rose. This is our time for questions. Usually deals with it doesn't have to be tarot, but typically tarot comes up. Anything spirituality, it could be witchcraft related, thus the witchy tarot. But also anything more general, spiritual, religious, that whole kind of area. Those who don't know me, I do have a background in psychology, medicine, education, specifically teaching science, fun, which is its own. If for my fellow educators out there, you know full well that science is one of those very, very niche teaching. It is not taught the same way as other subjects. Um, and I'm currently working towards getting involved with chaplain as a chaplain. So all the things all wrapped up. So a little of everything. But yeah, if you go through the links that are in the note in the video descriptions, that there's like an about link, and that gives way more details than the little overviews I give in these videos. Um, but again, the most important thing for the session is just keeping in mind that you can drop a chat or a question in the chat at any time. I do have the chat open. I can see it. If you've never been in one of these live stream type AMA sessions, I do dual stream, so I'm currently available on both YouTube and Twitch at the same time. So if you drop something in the chat, or if somebody drops something in the chat and they're on the other platform than whichever one you're streaming in from right now, you might not see what they see, which is why I try to make a point of repeating, especially if it's a question, repeating that. Sometimes I'll have a question that comes in that's a little, can be very personal. And so I will try to reframe it as I say it out loud, especially for the replays, so that if later you're like, wow, I really wish I didn't say that, I got you. We'll try to try to keep it not being so specific. So I do my best to try to answer like that. But again, drop those questions in the chat. I also have my list of running questions if the cat will let me get around her right now. Do, 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 do. Uh-oh. There. No, you are not the thing. Oh my goodness, cat. She is head booping my arm, which makes it very hard to type. All right, there we go. That was what I was looking for. All righty. Okay, cat, do your worst. Slap me with your tail. Got it. All right. Okay, so now I have my list of questions. So typically what I do for those who haven't been here is I will go through my little list of questions that have been asked ahead of time, and I will answer them on the air. And any questions that come up in the chat will have priority over all the questions, only because it's kind of like meeting up in person, right? I'm gonna address the person that's in front of me instead of the person that's just sent me a text that can wait. It's these questions aren't going anywhere. Most of them I already answered well directly to the person who won't be able to make it for the live stream. But I do try to answer a little bit more in depth and allow you guys the opportunities to dive in. So now that we have the distractions out of the way, I believe the cat is officially settled. So I will just keep petting her so she doesn't knock anything down or accidentally mute me or any other nonsense that she likes to do week by week. And we will get started. So let's see. Uh-oh. It would help if I could see this centered. There we go. Ooh, this is a really good question. So this is a tarot specific question. But you could apply it to more than just tarot, I think. So it says, can tarot help with decision making in unstable environments, or does it create more confusion? So it depends on how you're using tarot is the best way that I can explain it. If you are prone to leaning heavily on tarot as an end all be all, kind of being, when I say that, I mean like whatever the cards say, that's got to be like it, and nothing else could possibly be there. Being very literal with it, and not accounting for nuance or that things change between a reading and whatever moment in the future that you believe that reading is applying to. I would definitely not use tarot for decision making if you are using any form of divination, not even just tarot, but if you're using tarot or another form of divination in that kind of like the answers are gospel and nothing else can possibly be true, that is not a good approach to these tools when you're in an unstable environment, or just an unstable or unhealthy or toxic situation. And the reason I say this is because whenever we want to make something be the end all be all, this is the answer, um, and treat it as something that is coming from outside of us, we not just take away our own autonomy, we hinder our intuition, our gut instinct. So we might have, so for example, if you are in a uh, toxic situation, the environment's really chaotic, you never know what you're going to get, you're walking on eggshells, and you pull a card, you get some anxiety, and you're like, I just want to know if my gut instinct is right about the situation. And you get some card that makes sound like stick it out, like this is okay and everything is fine and hunky dory. That might not necessarily actually be the message that's there, but you have now just reinforced this idea of that you can't get out of it or that you shouldn't get out of it. Or that you shouldn't take any actions that could potentially make it better. Um, and that kind of thinking is dangerous. So it's all in how you approach it. So for me with tarot, these messages are not set in stone. Not only in terms of any sort of like future telling kind of situations, like things can always change. There's stuff that you can do or say, there's things other people can do and say, there's just natural, the world around us, something happen or not happen, that can completely impact a reading since it's based on in that moment. Um, but in terms of like when it's stressed out and we're trying to do some decision making, that approach really is what do you need to know or think about or do that can help you to tap into that intuition and to those gut instincts. So if you are in an unstable environment and you are dealing with that kind of situation, if you take away your autonomy and your power to trust in that wisdom that is already within you, by letting the cards tell you what to do, then you're going to miss the message that's there. Um, that happy-go-lucky card that you're interpreting as stay in the situation, it's the right thing to do, might actually be telling you, hey, that gut instinct you had, it's right. It is the right thing to act on. Like, so interpretation can get skewed when we're in those situations. It messes with our ability to think logically. We tend to think from a more emotional frame um, when we are in unstable situations. So yes, it can absolutely create more confusion, and since I don't want that for you, I will say avoid using tarot for decision making in those settings, especially if the decisions in question are related directly or indirectly to the situation at hand within that unstable environment. That doesn't mean that you can't go to somebody who is not in the thick of that and ask them for a reading. I've talked before about how I will even professional readings, we will go to other readers, especially when we need to get out of our own headspace. There have been periods of time in my life where, before years ago, people would catch on that I knew tarot and they would, start pulling out wads of cash and telling me they'd pay me to do a reading. And I'd have to be like, no, even though in those moments I really needed the money, I would have to push back and say no because I was in unstable settings at that time, dealing with unstable situations and people around me. Um, and so when you are the one, you should not be doing the reading yourself. That's when you want to go to somebody else who is not going through that struggle. Um, I am one of those where if things in my own life are going chaotic or unstable, if I am just having a day where some of my past stuff comes up, starts triggering, those are the times where you'll see me back out of an event or postpone things um, because that is something, it is a skill that requires you to be able to set aside your ego and really come from a place of service to others. And you can't do that if you are too caught up in the instability around you. Okay, so hopefully that helped to answer your question. I'm always happy to talk it out. If there's more nuance to your personal situation, you feel like this answer didn't really touch it, by all means, reach out. We can discuss it a little bit more. Um, Otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and keep going. Again, at any time, feel free to drop your questions in the chat. Um, ooh. More questions for tarot readings. Okay, or for the tarot readers. Okay, so should readers address big collective events or stay focused on personal readings? Please, for the love of good, stay focused on personal readings. So again, going back to what I just said in the last answer, it is so important to focus on the individual in question, to focus on that insight and um, perspective and trying to navigate. Tarot works much better for navigation. It's not meant to be prophecy. It's not a, you know what, I need to scoot this screen over just a tad bit because that is blocking my way and squirrel braining me. So there we go. That is so much better. Okay. I'm telling you, that squirrel brain is hitting hard. Okay, let's try that one more time. So the struggle with as tarot readers trying to sit there and be like, oh, there's this big thing that's happening. I'm going to draw some cards and I'm going to see what do the cards say. And it's like, well, first of all, the cards don't say anything. The cards are just cardstock and ink. You are interpreting, as the reader, you are interpreting those cards. You are interpreting the message that is there. You are blending your knowledge, your expertise in tarot with your own psychic and intuitive abilities. So anything that's there is all you, not the cards. We might talk about it like, let's see what the cards say, and that's just because we personify inanimate objects, and that's normal and natural, and there's nothing wrong with that. We build a connection with inanimate objects. That's okay. I will not judge because I get it. If you were ever a child that had a favorite toy or stuffed animal or blanket, you totally get what it's like to personify an object. And we do that with our cards. It's the imagery that is contained within the cards and those symbols that give them meaning. But the cards themselves at the end of the day are literally just paper and ink. Okay, so the cards aren't the one saying it. You are saying it. Your knowledge and your abilities combined together is what gives the answer. Now, like I said, when it comes to making those future telling predictions or anything of that nature, all it takes is one little variable changing. I always equate this when people sit down with a reading with me for the first time. I tell them, like I don't focus on getting super detailed with predictions because it's kind of like meteorology. So meteorologists earn these degrees. They go on like into different parts of the world and really learn the science behind climate data and how to predict the weather or create these weather forecasts. And no matter how many tools they have, no matter how much data they have, no matter how many years of experience and education and training, even if they have the latest gadgetry and technology, they're still not going to get those predictions 100% right 100% of the time. They are lucky if they can have a success rate that's above 50%. Okay, so I don't know the precise target goal percentage that a particular meteorologist might have, but any of us who've ever looked at a weather forecast and looked outside and scoffed, you know what I'm talking about. Okay, so it's the same thing when we try to do these collective readings. If you are doing a collective reading that's, hey, here's a way that I know a lot of us are feeling right now. Is there a message for the collective, an anchor for us to focus on to help us through these times? So I did this for a blog post, I think last year about, I think I called it like a plea for temperance. Like how can we embody that ability to stay balanced with all the things that are going on and happening right now? And so that spread that I did for that's a fine example of I have this goal, which is how can we all embody this particular way of being in the world when so much chaos and confusion is happening at such a pace that many of us are just stressed and struggling. And so that reading all those cards that came up, there's nothing there that would change or that could be impacted by some variable shifting things because it's very targeted to that question as at the collective whole. But most collective readings that I see when it's a big collective event, like in your question, should readers address the big collective events? They tend to be more focused on like what's the outcome going to be? Well, who's doing what? What's the, spill the tea kind of thing, right? And those are the ones where it's just as off as that meteorologist trying to forecast the weather at 100% accuracy. It's not going to happen. Um, and then any of those details, now you just kind of, it feels like to me, I say, don't do it. By all means, try it if you want to try it. I have tried it. I have played around with it, but to me, I'm like, I don't see the point. Now, if you want to, as a reader, focus on your particular client and what they need to know within that context of these big collective events, that to me still falls under personal readings, because you're focused on the individual, and you should always, in all of your readings, be focused on the individual. Um, and yes, the individual in front of you who has given you consent to do the reading. it gets a very it gets very sketchy on the ethics once you have somebody who comes to you and asks you a question about somebody else in their lives. And I know I've talked about this in another live stream. Usually the best way to address those moments is to switch the focus to helping them within the dynamic of that person. So don't go spilling the tea about the other person. No spying on the relatives or friends or boyfriends or whatever of the person getting the reading. But yeah, so to that question, should readers address big collective events or stay focused on personal readings? I say stay focused on the personal readings. By all means, if you are more into the entertainment only value of the cards or any other divination practice, by all means, feel free to do a reading on the big collective events. But honestly, if you are authentic, if you are uh, trying to be part of the spiritual health and well-being of the community, please focus on the personal readings. We don't need to waste our time on something that we know is not going to be particularly accurate or helpful in the larger scheme of things. So please focus on the personal readings. And that's my 2 cents. So you might view it a little differently, but that is my reasoning for why I answer that way. All right. So, again, if you're just chiming in, you can drop a question at any time in the chat. I'm going to keep going. Oh, if the cat doesn't mute me. Okay, good. She did not. I'm keeping an eye on that mute like it's nobody's business. This is why I have to keep like adjusting my screen to make sure I have quick, easy access to that. Let's see. What else do we have? Okay, this one is not a tarot divination specific question, but I love it nonetheless. So it's kind of a bit more under kind of like religious or mainly more spiritual, maybe. Kind of getting into that esoteric and metaphysical sides of things. And I love this question, the way it's framed, because the answer is yes. Is intention really all that matters? Shouldn't there be more to it? Yes, there should be more to it. This is actually something that it's right now I'm focused on putting together the course for the empowered readings. Um, but another course or workshop that I have that I'm trying to get turned into one of the courses that's available online, so that more than just local people can get it, is dealing with this exact situation. So for anyone who doesn't know the context of this question, this is kind of like the modern day spell work, witchcraft, magic. There's so many different words. My brain is blanking, and I just got distracted. Total squirrel brain by the background of my screen changing to some sort of weird little critter that looks like a piece of coral, but it's not. Anyway, that messed me up because now I want to know what that is because it looks like a potato head. I don't know. Can I share that screen? I might be able to share that screen. Let me see if I can do that while I'm on here without messing it up. Okay, I messed it up. Okay, I'm going to keep talking so you can hear me, and I'm going to see if I can get this to work just because I want you to see the screen if it lets me. I don't think it will. It will not. Oh, wait, window capture. No, that's not what I want. Okay, never mind. We will deal with that later. So I will try to get I'll take a picture of this later and share it because I have no idea what this thing is. It is cool looking though. I'm gonna look that up. I need to cover that up with a thing. Okay, there we go. The questions are moving over to block out the weird potato head. All right, so we're gonna circle back around. We're gonna retry that question. Okay, is intention really all that matters, and shouldn't there be more to it? So again, that answer to that second question is yes, there should definitely be more to it. So with this is dealing with any sort of prayer, spell work, uh, even affirmations, depending on what you're using them for, witchcraft, magical practice, pick a term that you want to use, wizardry, if that's your term of choice. The idea that intention is all there is doesn't make it work. Like, I think one of the there was this thing that I don't know if anybody still says it, and if anybody still says it, I will do my best to bite my tongue, smile and nod, or at least just smile politely, and not take their head off. But there was this thing that went around way back. Goodness, I was living in Colorado at the time. There were many different readers, healers, teachers within the metaphysical community at that time, and there was this common thought that would get shared within workshops that I wanted to scream, but at the time I was not. I was still my younger don't make a scene, don't make a fuss stage. So no, I did not say anything or call it out. But every now and again, people would ask a question about um, like a particular book on a spiritual or metaphysical topic. And if they really had to read it, like what if they struggled with reading? What if they couldn't really understand what it was talking about? Like, do they really need to read it, or is there another way to get this learning? Say, like, and I'm imagining from the question that they're probably asking about an audiobook, or if anybody knows of a book club or a video or a movie adaptation or documentary or something, some way to get the exact same information, just not text on paper. And I believe that's probably the real intention of the question. But the answer that they would get was that not a problem. You just take that book and you can hold it while you sleep. You can have it under your pillow. You can even just sit back and close your eyes and hold it to your heart or to your third eye, and you will just absorb the information that's contained within. If you didn't catch the change, the sound of my tone of my voice. No. No, you do not learn the contents of a book that way, because if it worked that way, then every single one of those kids who sit around with carrying around a dictionary day in, day out because they have to, who hold it, or like my child, and just somehow ends up, every book ends up in his bed at some point. I have no idea how. Then everybody would have this amazingly massive vocabulary because they would be getting the essence of that dictionary. Like, it does not work that way. You do have to actually work with the book, read the book, or have somebody read it to you, or attend a class that teaches you the information that is contained within the book. But you can't just simply hold a book and intend that it will be downloaded into your mind. That is not reflective of the laws of reality in which we live. If you didn't see my live stream with the question about like what's too woo woo, you definitely check that one out. I'm gonna try to make a short out of part of that response, just to kind of just to kind of get that send that message home. So now this is not to say that there aren't people who have an ability to touch an object and kind of get an essence of what's in there. This is not to say that you won't have a psychic or intuitive moment where you will have a knowing by being introduced to an object such as a book. That said, if somebody's telling you that all you need to do to be able to get the essence from that book is just intend to have it downloaded while you sleep and it's just paper sitting under your pillow at night, how are you supposed to be able to test if that worked or not if you never actually read the book? Because I promise you, if you actually read the book, you will discover there are many things that are inside that book that you did not download in your sleep. This isn't to say that you won't dream of it and that there is not any collective consciousness information, because again, if it's dealing with spiritual topics, a lot of times there is some collective unconscious stuff happening there. There's the subliminal, the conscious and the unconscious mind will send you information through dreams. By all means, you may learn something from being within the presence of this book because your mind is on it. And that's where the intention piece helps, but just intending it by itself does not make it happen. Likewise, other examples of intention being the only thing that matters is when the idea of doing a spell and literally all you have to do is bring together some ingredients, light the thing, and done. Ta-da! Maybe you spoke some words because it gave you some words you could say. And then that's it, and you've done it, and you can walk away, and all is good, and it's going to happen. And that's cool, but there's more to it than just intending for it to happen. Although the fact that you actually physically did a thing kind of does help a little bit, which again goes into those basic foundations. And I really hope that I can get that workshop turned into a course for you guys, because that one it wouldn't be long and it would be relatively inexpensive to do, but it would definitely answer that question so well. There is definitely more to it than simply intending a thing to happen. If intention was all that really mattered, there are many people today who have cancer who would not have cancer, people today who do not have cancer who would have cancer, um, many flat tires. I may or may not have wished had somebody to get a flat tire and during frustrating moments in traffic. Not my proudest of moments, but it's happened. My road rage has subsided over the years, but that one is still one of those. It's like, yeah, well, I hope you get a flat tire, right? That kind of thing. If intention was all that mattered, trust me, it would happen. All the things would be happening right now. We would have like 50 million people winning the same lottery. Like, it's, if intention was all that really mattered, we would we wouldn't be having this conversation. I wouldn't have to do these live streams. There wouldn't be courses. Nobody would need anybody, because all we have to do is intend things and those things happen. And we either get really, really good really fast at how to intend things in a way that doesn't destroy the universe, or we actively do all the things that will inevitably lead to our demise as a collective species. So thankfully, intention is not the only thing that matters. But that said, intention is highly important. Doing all the rest without intention is a problem. This is part of why people started pushing for the, intention is all you really need. It wasn't the intention to that about intention wasn't to try to get people to just kind of feel good about themselves and, whatever. It was in response to people who were like, well, I did this thing and nothing happened. And it turned out like there was no intention behind it. There was no real eagerness to make it happen. There was no raising of energy. There was no nothing, right? They were just like, I went through the motions because they told me to do the motions and this is what would happen, and the thing didn't happen, so it's all fake, right? Or something's wrong with me, or I can't do this. And so it really got to a point of like, okay, let's talk about intention. Let's talk about how that works. Let's really get in there. It's not that it's all that matters, it's that it matters and you need it. It's part of the foundation, part of the formula. It is not the formula. And that's kind of where that train of thought came from. So it wasn't intended to be the little happy-go-lucky, like, all you have to do is will it and it will happen. There's so much more to it, but um, but yes. So if you're feeling that, just definitely make sure to reach out to me. I'll make sure to keep you in the loop for when I do get to that course being the next one. All right. That said, let me keep moving on. Uh, Nothing in the chat right now. So again, if you have any questions, feel free to drop those in the chat. And I'm going to Oh, there's another question that lines up perfectly with the one I just answered. See, I moved the screen around and then that disappears. There we go. All right. So, why do modern manifestation spells fail? Most of them are failing because somebody told you all that matters is intention, and that was the end. And it's like that does not work that way. Um, so a lot of that does have to deal with there not being. Oh, let me double check because she's sitting over there. Oh, good, I am not muted. Um, this goes back to the idea that when it comes to any sort of spellcraft, magic, any of that stuff, anybody who's in psi research knows what I'm talking about. There's so much more involved than a simple let's just say we did the thing and will for it to happen and it'll happen. Or let's make a pretty little thing and it's going to do amazing things. Um, that by itself does nothing. Um, or I shouldn't say nothing. It can make you feel good. It's kind of like, I'm going to show this off. My son just made this yesterday. And it's a little gnome guy with his beard that to me is like a big, giant, fluffy mustache, and I love it. And buttons for eyes. And so he made this and he's happy with it and he likes it. And then that's it, the end. And it's great. And that is okay. It made him feel good to make it. It made me feel good to see what he made and the fact that he made it and that he shared it with me. This stuff made us feel good. This is great. But if the intention was, I'm going to make this thing and that is going to help to shape reality in this specific kind of way, and this is what the results are going to be because I made this thing, he's going to have to do a whole lot more than just, oh, I'm going to make a gnome out of all this stuff, following these instructions and with the materials I was provided, like, and show it to my mom. Like, he's going to have to do a whole lot more than that if he were to turn this into a spell. Okay, so a lot of these manifestation spells are failing because there is a lot of this focus on the parts that just feel good to do. So it feels like you're doing a thing without actually learning how to do the magic, how to actually cast a spell, how to make this work. We see this in other practices as well, where they might not necessarily use the word spell or may not use the word magic. They may have totally different terms for it. Um, but it's that same thing. It's just like you look within any of the world's major religions, there's always some form of like a priesthood. Um, and these are, ministers, pastors, reverends, rabbis, pick the term depending on the faith, right? And the path in question. And within those, your magical practitioners, as I would understand the word magic, um, they would be that priesthood. They would be the ones that do it. And the lay people don't necessarily have that, depending on the faith, right? In the major mainstream faiths, it's usually the what we refer to as magic and spell work. It's done by the priesthood within many faiths. Even within modern paganism, that's kind of one of the things I believe along with heathens and Asatru was this idea of the priesthood are the magical practitioners. Everybody else are just, they're just part of the faith. They're not the magic practitioners. So depending on the specific path, the specific group, there might be different words used. But at the end of the day, the difference between the ones where stuff really happens and stuff is just meant to make you feel good or is just a ritual in the sense of, because you have your rituals, like if you have a routine for, in the morning or going to bed at night, like those are rituals, right? They are those rituals you do. But then you have your spiritual and religious rituals, and some of them are designed just to keep you connected to your faith, to fill you with, address your spiritual health. Um, but then you have the rituals that are supposed to go deeper that then get into that magical where you're actually changing a thing. And that is what modern manifestation spells are supposed to be doing. But instead, they're kind of more like a neutral, non religious specific ritual, like you would see within an actual religious experience, minus all the actual foundational things that is what we understand as magic and witchcraft and spellcraft today. So that's mainly why they fail, is because the basic foundations are skipped over. They're not taught. Everything is about magic made easy, intention made easy, manifestation made easy. And it's like there's so much more to it than just that. And again, I will definitely, if you want to be kept in the loop, I don't know that that will come out this year, but it will definitely come out next year. It to have that modified as a course for you guys to be able to access online. For those of you who aren't here in the Newark, Delaware area, if you are in the area and you would like me to host that workshop, by all means, please let me know, so I could get it on my calendar before the calendar fills up. We're starting to get into that fall season busyness. All right. So hopefully that helped kind of at least skim the surface of that. There is a deeper answer that takes much longer than we can get into within the Q&A session. So definitely follow up with me if you want me to talk more about that. All right. So where are we at on time? Only about 40 minutes in. I didn't give much of an update because the cat distracted me so much. All right. So I'm going to hold on to those questions for next time. Ooh. Okay, this kind of goes back to some of those tarot questions earlier. So this one is, can tarot help with burnout? And the answer to that is yes. Whether that's you going to somebody else or you doing it for yourself. From my own experiences with burnout, which I have experienced more times than any singular human should, I have a tendency of going to whatever, wherever, whoever needs my help the most and diving all in head first. And next thing I know, I am burned out and cannot, like, I can't even access my empathy anymore. And I have to step away and back away. And, you know, all of us go through it at some point, or many of us do today at least, because of the way workloads are, because of responsibilities, because of all the things we have to keep up with. It's really easy to get into burnout. Not everybody who thinks they're burnt out is burnt out. I promise you, there have been times where I was like, oh, this must be what burnout feels like. And then I experienced real burnout and I was like, that was not what burnout felt like. That was just stress and confusion and tiredness all mixed in one. But actual burnt out, when you get there, you will know it because you will not feel like yourself. Um, and it will bother you while simultaneously not having the energy to do anything about it or feel like you have the energy to do anything about it. Okay, so can tarot help with burnout? The best ways to go about this, if you are doing this for yourself, is focus on using tarot for things like anchor cards, for whether that's for meditation or like your card of the day type of thing, a message for you to focus on. That gives you that one small step, right? That what is one thing I can do today because I cannot do anything else? Like, what is that one thing? If nothing else, what do I focus on today? And so tarot is really good to be used in that kind of way. It can also be really helpful. This is where going to a professional reader is helpful. Or at least somebody who's very knowledgeable and highly experienced in tarot, whether or not they personally offer their tarot services professionally. But when I say professional, I mean somebody who actually knows tarot inside and out and knows how to talk and has some form of trauma informed training. There's a lot of people throwing around the word trauma informed lately, and I promise you, as somebody who has been through that training, who has worked in medicine and has worked in military and has worked in education and in classrooms, I promise you, not everybody who uses that phrase trauma informed knows is actually trauma informed. So somebody who actually has some training and background in this. This is a good time when you're experiencing burnout to go to somebody else and then they can help you sort through it so they can give you a fuller reading and really start to kind of help build you a path. And if you go to one of those, like, I recommend definitely take pictures of the spread, jot down notes if the reader is comfortable with it, like audio record it or even video record it. Because as you're navigating the burnout, you'll want something you can refer back to help you stay on track. And it goes back to that just one little thing. One of my favorite little prayers, it comes out of Reiki, and it's what I love about it is specifically the phrase just for today. And so anytime I'm doing something and I'm stressed out, and this comes up a lot with burnout, is okay, just for today, let me not scream at my child. Just for today, let me not wish somebody's tire will go flat in the middle of traffic. Just for today. So that is one way that you can use tarot, or two ways technically you can use tarot for burnout. One for yourself doing that singular focused draw, and the other one is going to a trustworthy, trained professional who also happens to know tarot or is a tarot reader, and get them to help you develop that plan and those course of action to help and jot that down so that you have those steps to help you. But tarot can be very effective to helping with burnout in those kinds of ways. There's many things that can help with burnout and many things you should do to help with burnout. First and foremost, if you don't already have a therapist, get one. And when I say therapist, I mean somebody who actually is trained in psychological, mental, emotional health, not a run of the mill life coach whose training is questionable no matter how much they think that they are well trained. Um, Again, I don't blame the life coaches who think that they are fully certified. They are not. It's not the fully certified ones exist out there, sure, but if they're pointing at a life coaching program certificate, that's no, they're not. There's so much more involved in psychological health, and that is definitely get yourself that. But you can also use tarot to help supplement along the way. Hopefully that helps to answer that question. Um, if not, or if you'd like more guidance, let me know. I'm happy to circle back around to it. Um, let's see. Still have a little bit. Ooh, here we go. I'm going to do one more question just because I know this one is quick. If any questions come in the chat, I do have time to address them, so you can still put your questions in the chat. But I'm just going to do one more of the pre-sent ones. So this one is tarot predictive, reflective, or both? It is both. So first and foremost, tarot is designed especially for reflection. It really was never meant to be predictive. Tarot was initially designed as a playing card game. Our modern day playing cards are basically the minor arcana of the tarot. Um, so, like, obviously not intended to be for predictions. Um, Once we started to see it being used, it was being used mainly among people who were looking for more spiritual direction in their lives. So these are your like occult revival period where you had people who were not getting their full spiritual health addressed through the mainstream religions of those days, whether they continue to identify with those religions or not. Many of them did. They still identified with whatever church that they had grown up with, or other faith that they had grown up with, um, or had swapped to as adults. You don't have to stick with just one. That's one of those little secrets of life for those of you out there who are wondering. If it does not fill you, if it is not fitting you, there are many other paths out there. You're not stuck with one just because you were born into it. That said, when the occultists were trying to broaden their spiritual practices, this is where we start to see the tarot get brought in as this tool for reflection and insight. Okay? And yes, the initial published stuff was very kind of predictive sounding, but not in this, it wasn't used in a way of like, oh, I'm going to lay out these cards and they're going to tell me what it is. It was more like, this is a tool to help me reflect, to help me see what's going on here so I can make decisions for myself. And that's what it was more about. So it was meant predominantly for spiritual reflection. As far as being predictive, again, yes, it can be used that way. Absolutely. I've talked before about how there are some tarot readers out there who have spent decades really honing this craft of being able to work out, like, if a card comes up this way or that way, depending on how things were shuffled, how they were, was a deck split, like all these different things. Which way is it reverse? Is it not reverse? Is there a character in a card looking at a character of another card across the way? Like, their method and style and approach that they have honed over decades, um, they can get like really super specific, and it's like, wow, that is amazing that they could be that level accurate with their um, predictions, whatever level that is, whether that meets the scientific definition of a prediction or is just kind of more generally vaguely like, here's how it's going to go. And the probabilities were very low, and yet they were right. Um, and that it exists. That is a skill that is out there. That said, I still think of it kind of like meteorology, and that does not seem like a good use of my time to learn how to do tarot in that way. If that is your way to study tarot, by all means, look into it. There are those many of those readers have books. They do courses. They specialize in training other people to do tarot in their style. Um, so by all means, if that sounds like something you really want to devote your time to, be ready to put as much work and effort into it as the young college kid who wants to be a meteorologist. Like, be prepared, um, because it does take that level of work and practice and skill over time, um, to really get that level of detail. Um, for me, empowerment, getting clarity, insight, finding those practical next steps, that all falls under the reflective nature of tarot. Can there be a little predictiveness to it? Sure, but keep in mind that that stuff changes. So my focus is on, okay, what are the most practical actions that no matter what does or doesn't change, these are the actions you still want to take regardless of what is coming. And so that again is more of a reflective approach. So to me, I prefer the reflective approach, but tarot is absolutely both. It can be both. Just don't expect it to be like plugging in a TV to show you the screen of the future. No, not going to happen. Okay, so again, are there people out there who have the ability to see premonitions and then be detailed exactly as it's going to play out? Sure. Out of 8 billion people, it is excruciatingly rare for that to be a natural talent that exists. And many of the people who do, of that tiny little fraction, tend to be so terrified by it that they will do everything they can to not have those premonitions. So the person that you go to for your tarot reading, high chance that that was not them. Likewise, others who deal with premonitions and to that degree of accuracy, it's typically not even shown to them as literal, it's figurative. So being able to provide that prediction for you is itself subjective, just like reading the tarot cards can be subjective. Um, and so you're not going to get that highly perfectly predictive element in that same way as what you would think, like as if you could just turn on the TV and see a scene from the future. All right. So again, yes, tarot, predictive, and reflective. My focus is more on reflective, though there are those who do specialize in predictive. But if you're just starting out and you're just learning, I find unless you are ready to learn that craft in that deep of a level, stick with reflective. If you have natural talents and abilities in being more predictive, you're going to see it come out as you study and learn. All right. So let's see. That brings us to I see 154 on my end. So I'm wrapping up there. Let's check the chat. Whole lot of nothing there. So I'm going to go ahead and get us into our outro. The cat left me with so much fur. My nose will itch because fur will have touched my nose. And then I have all of her fur on my glove. So all I do is deposit twice as much. So now you guys get to see me rubbing my nose like a crazy person. So after this, I'm changing my gloves and using my allergy medicine because there's so much cat fur right now. All right. She is shedding, and I have no idea why. All right, so outro. Here we go. All right, so okay, starting out with the update. So my next tarot appearance is going to be the little treasure shop. This is here in Newark, Delaware. I will be there again this Saturday, August 22nd from 11:30 to 4:30. I'm technically there until closing, and technically closing time is 5 p.m., but they will stay open if somebody has come in. But I do tend to stop the signing up for it at 4:30 only because I need time to clean it up. So one of the fun facts is that when I come in for those readings, it's not already like it is and I just sit down. I literally have to set up the entire space, move furniture around, hang things, take things down. So it is a whole ordeal. So we start 30 minutes after opening and I start wrapping up 30 minutes before closing. All right. The other thing is Hela's story, Events After Ragnarok, according to Loki's daughter. That is this book right here. It is available currently only on Amazon. That will be changing, especially after some issues with KDP and not receiving royalties based on nonsense rules. Like if somebody pays with a credit that was on their account or a discount from something else or a gift certificate from something else, none of which had anything to do with me, I apparently get no royalties on it, which makes about 0 cents. So basically, you've got Amazon double dipping and taking money away from the authors. So it will not be staying on Amazon only in the future, but for at least through September, I'm stuck with Amazon. So if you are interested in reading it, you absolutely may. Keep in mind that if you do the Kindle Unlimited, I only receive anything at all, and we're talking pennies, if you actually read the book. So please make sure, check it out, borrow it, read it. On the website, I do have the ASIN numbers. If you pass it along to your librarian, you can borrow it from free from your library if you ask them to request it. All right, and then, not that one. Keep that one, turn that one off. The third thing here is my Empowered Readings course. The wait list is open, so the course is still getting finished up. I have not decided on a launch date as of yet. My hope is to have this done preferably by October, but if it needs to get pushed out, definitely before November is my target timeline. I'm not at the point where I can give you a precise date, but the wait list is open. So in the description, there's a link for the wait list. By putting your email address into that, you will receive the notification email when the course goes live. I do not have this set up to enroll you in anything else. It's literally just to email capture. And then what I do is I will send out individual emails to anybody who signs up, letting you know when the course is live and ready for you. Okay. And almost always, whenever I release a new course in the first couple weeks, there's almost always a really great sale or discount to celebrate the launch. So definitely, if you want to make sure you don't miss out on that, sign up for the wait list so that you are first in line to get that course when it comes out. Right. Some reminders. Make sure, as always, to subscribe to the Starlight Circle. This is my monthly newsletter. My Moonbeams get all the exclusive news and updates. I just sent out this month's email this morning. So if you sign up today, you won't receive you'll receive the welcome email with the free guide that comes attached to it. But you won't get, another email from me until middle of next month, because I just sent that out today. So again, all these links are in the show notes. You can also enroll in the Tarot 101 with Evylyn Rose. This one is one where when you enroll, it will automatically subscribe to the newsletter. If you want the course but you don't want the newsletter, you can unsubscribe from the newsletter. I get it, because I constantly unsubscribe from emails just because I get really overstimulated by a constantly full email box. So I get it. It's no judgment from me. So if you want the course but you don't want the emails, just do that. Again, the Tarot 101, it is free for seekers and skeptics alike. It's also a really strong foundation for other tarot courses. So if you're planning to do the Empowered Readings course, which is all about powering up or leveling up your readings, and how you provide readings to others, if that course assumes that you already have the basic foundational knowledge that's contained within my Tarot 101 course. If you don't have at least that much base knowledge, you'll struggle with the newer courses. So definitely make sure to take advantage of the free Tarot 101. Even though it's specific to tarot, there's still some aspects to it that can apply to other kinds of readings, not just tarot. And of course, follow me on Blue Sky and YouTube. This is where I'm most active. I'm on other platforms as well, but these are where you are most likely to see me posting information. Anything dealing with the live stream that's going on right now, or the replay, if you're watching the replay, is always going to be a post on the YouTube channel. So when you go to the YouTube channel, you can look at the post. So if you're like, where's the live stream? It's Monday, it's 1:30, where are you? Check the post, and I will either have posted a different time for the live stream, or I will have posted a notice that if there's been a cancellation or something of that nature. Another reminder before I forget, this weekend, in addition to me being over here in Delaware, happening on the other side of the US in California, they're having their Awaken Lifestyle Expo. And if you are one of the first 1,000 guests to arrive, you'll get this really cool freebie bag that includes this oracle deck. They are not reproducing this for sale, so it's literally only the 1,000 copies that are free. The 44 of us that are in there will get our own copy, but so that's 1,044 copies. So they're not available for purchase. So if you want one of these, you do have to go to the Awaken Lifestyle Expo, and you have to be one of the first 1,000 people there. Definitely make sure, check that out, because I can't be there. This is my way of saying hello to those of you who will be. So definitely check that out. All right. Reminders. And last but not least, your next step for today is to get on that reading list, or that reading wait list. The course is the Empowered Readings. The full title is a framework for collaborative divination. So it isn't necessarily specific to tarot. So if you have another form of divination that you practice, whether that's things like runes or pendulums, scrying, any other form of divination, this Empowered Readings course goes beyond just tarot. Again, if you don't know any forms of divination, go ahead and while you're waiting, take my Tarot 101, and that's going to help you out with building that foundation you need. And then the Empowered Readings course, which will be coming out over the next couple months, if you sign up for the wait list, you will get that notification email as soon as it goes live. And I always on launch day have some sort of special, so that it's not full price, and it's always the steepest special it will ever be. So like when I did Meditation for Chronically Distracted, it was a 50% discount, and that course will never be offered at any lower price than it was during launch week. Same thing with this Empowered Readings course. I will be offering it at a steep discount that you won't ever see again. So if you don't want to miss out on that, definitely sign up to get that notification email. It does not sign you up for any other list unless you choose to, either joining the newsletter manually or asking me to add you to it. This form literally is just for sending you that notification email. All right. So yes, so again, that link will be in the comments below. Sign up to receive the notifications. We said that already. Office hours. So the next lunar lunch break is Monday at 1 p.m. We've been having issues with the every other week having to either start late or cancel outright. So again, keep an eye on the YouTube channel comments or post section, just in case anything changes. Otherwise, the best way to be aware is to subscribe to this channel. It will send you a notification whenever I go live. So even if I go live for something other than the office hours, for example, if I am partnering up with a friend to do readings live on the air, which which may be in the works, make sure to click subscribe so that you know when we go live. Also, like and comment on this video here, especially if you're watching the replay. That does help to update the algorithms to show more videos like this. If any of you out there who are also creators, whether business-wise or just for fun, You're aware of some changes that Google has done to both search and YouTube, where we are not getting hardly any impressions unless we have like 100,000 people who regularly click on our, whether it's videos on YouTube or links for websites off of YouTube. So the more you comment, like, share, all those things help ensure that the smaller, quieter voices can actually be found, that we actually exist on the internet and we're not siphoned into oblivion. So thank you again so much for joining, and I hope to see you here next week. And as always, keep radiating hope into the world.